welcome to Speak Your Mind. I'm Louisa Taranga. Good to have you back here. Well, today we observe World Day Against Child Labor. You know, many of us don't really think the types of work our children do in the context of child labor. We usually look at it as learning new skills and helping out with the family. Some of us parents even allow our children to work because it brings in an additional income for the family. Is that happening at home? Well, to tell us more about, understanding this very interesting topic, I have Atish here, Atish Kumar, Director, Labor Standards. Atish, please help me understand what child labor is, and really break it down for us. When does it become a problem or a concern?
Bulubinaka Luisa, and of course, Bulubinaka to all our listeners. Thank you very much for having me here this afternoon on the area of child labor.
Right.
12th of June is normally the World Day Against Child Labor is celebrated. Of course, this is an event which is also sanctioned by the International Labour Organization, and it is celebrated worldwide in terms of ensuring that we prevent the areas of child labor. We ensure that we try our best to send children to school. Children are meant to be in school, not in child labor. So with this in place, the Ministry of Employment, Productivity and Industrialization, together with the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Women, Children, Poverty Alleviation, of course, we have put our program together, and that is, of course, ensuring that we advocate and ensure that we don't have a child labor problem. When you look at it in terms of the areas of child labor, we can see that if a child is employed during school hours,
Right.
if a child is employed during school hours, then of course that is a child labor case. Minimum age for employment in Fiji is 15 years. So any child, for that matter, anyone who is below the age of 15 years, they cannot be employed. They can only be employed in family business after school. So if a child is, if the family wants a child to be in employment, some sort of employment to help the family, and of course they can do it after school. But the employment should not be any hazardous work. It should be light work, simple work where the members of the family, like a communal group or religious group, are being employed, or the family members are employed, so they can assist the child in terms of ensuring that the child returns to his or her parents or guardians at the end of the work. But what we also ensure that when you talk about child labor, any work that is done in school, part of their school curriculum, part of the teaching learning process, is not child labor. So there is a fine line between child labor and also child development. When you talk about children helping their parents after school,
Right.
helping in their farm, doing simple work, not hazardous work, not using chemical, not using farm machineries, right? But simple work, right? That
Okay.
is not child labor. Of course, that is child development, but that is done after school, and ensuring that the health, safety, and well-being of the child is not always paramount.
Okay. For kids, so you're saying after school, so for our children who are selling, like I see it a lot in town, selling food, roti, purini, after school, but they're on the streets and working till late. Now that's an issue.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. The important area is we also have to see that where the child is walking.
Right.
It's not situations where, for example, if a child is walking in an area where it can be dangerous to the health and safety of the child. For example, if the child is unattended, then of course that is an issue, that's a concern. So when we talk about child labor, we have to also ensure that the parents must give consent to these children. Why they are out there in the after school at
Right.
night, right? That is an issue, and of course from the Ministry of Employment point of view, from when you talk about our interagency cooperation group, we always go in and assist these children. We always withdraw these children. They have to be at their home. They have
Okay.
to prepare for the next day's school work, not for them to just sell at the street. And of
Right.
course then it becomes a problem to them. The next day when they go to school, they have not completed their school work, homework, they are tired, they are not attending in class.
Sorry, can I just ask you something? You mentioned they go back to they're taken back home. So these children, they're selling to help. We don't know their situation at home. They're probably helping their parents support the family. But then, can you explain? You take them and then you put them back in the very environment that encourages that in the first place. So what happens to these parents who are encouraging this kind of thing?
I think, Luisa, yes, I think the important part here is there is a process that needs to be followed.
Okay.
For example, one is we have to ensure that when the child goes back to his or her parents or the guardian, they don't come back. That is not the, like, for example, if a child comes back, then there is a problem. So we go through a process with the interagency group. We have got Ministry of Women and Children Poverty Alleviation. We also got Ministry of Education and Ministry of Employment, together with, of course, all our interagency partners. We ensure that the child is provided with the best possible care. And in doing so, we have also noted that with the interagency group that we have, interagency cooperation, when we withdraw a child, the child goes through a process in terms of ensuring that we assist the child. There is a lot of assistance given by government, in terms of ensuring that care and protection allowance is given. All other allowances are given to, of course, parents, also to to the children, to ensure that they remain in school. They are not seen to be in child labor. And we have also seen and noted that with the assistance of the employers, we have created awareness. Like previously, about 5-6 years ago, we have seen that employers, they were actually employing children during school hours. But now, after awareness that has been conducted, of course, we thank our tribe right partners, the trade unions, and also the Fiji Commercial Employers Federation, also the Fiji Trade Union Congress. We have been going out and actually we have been ensuring that we provide this awareness to the to school teachers. We also provide awareness to the village headmans. We also provide awareness to the Tikina council reps, to the advisory council reps, to ensure that they take this message across. Government has a simple aim of ensuring that every Fijian child is in school, and that is our aim. When you look at the Sustainable Development Goal 8.7 that talks about eradication of child labor by 2025, we have a plan in place that, and of course, with that plan in place, we can also see that our Fijian constitution provides the highest protection to our children. The 2013 constitution provides those protection to our children and ensures that we as adults, we must work towards ensuring that we don't have a problem of child labor.
Okay. Atish, please tell me more. What's the worst form of child labor?
Like when you talk about worst forms, Lucia, for example, child begging is one of the worst forms of child labor.
Begging?
Yes, begging. Children when they beg. Children who are involved in some form of commercial sexual exploitation. These are all areas. Where children. Of course, when we look at it, there's a lot of areas that our Ministry of Women and Children Poverty Alleviation, they have been working towards it. And also we have seen that when you look at the Employment Relations Act,
Right.
Employment Relations Act provides that these are the worst forms of child labor. And what we have also noted that with this in place, we have got very strong laws, right? Very strong laws, and of course, there's also prosecution being done, for those who are actually forcing these children into the worst forms.
And most of these people are the parents themselves?
In fact, when you look at it, there's a wide range of, when we can see people who are coming in.
Right.
And actually, we have also seen that when you talk about the worst forms, where children are actually being used, or actually they are using hazardous chemicals.
Okay.
And of course, these hazardous chemicals, they have an impact on a child.
Okay. We'll come back in a bit. I'd like to share something about the begging I saw the other day in town. But you're on Speak Your Mind, and with us in studio, Mr. Atish Kumar, Director Labour Standards. We'll be back in a bit. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind. I'm Louisa. With us this afternoon, Mr. Atish Kumar, Director Labour Standards. Today we observe World Day Against Child Labour, and we were just talking about the worst forms of child labour. You mentioned begging. I'm not surprised, because the other day I was telling you earlier, I was in town going shopping, and there was this child who was begging, and I happened to walk past, and then only to hear that somebody opposite him said, "Oh, you should speak a bit louder." I got a shock. I turned around, they ran away. But that's what's happening. I don't know. It seems that there are a lot more children doing that. If you can just tell me more about that.
Yes, Lucia, I think it's important for us adults to know that that these are worst forms of child labor. And when you look at the programs that we have in place, and government has a program in place, and we have an aim. Our simple aim is to provide education to all Fijian children. Right, to every Fijian child, that they must attend school. And in doing so, these programs, we also create awareness to parents, teachers, and to community leaders and to everyone, to ensure that we don't have a problem, that we continue to have child labor issues. So with that in place, with this awareness program that we have also noted that people are now reporting areas of child labor cases, and we have got community leaders who are reporting. We have got like school teachers, of course, through Ministry of Education. We also have got people calling on the child safety line to ensure that they actually report the areas of child labor, and of course there is also areas of child abuse.
What's the number for
it's
the
1325.
1325.
Yes. So what actually happens is that when you look at the areas of child labor, and of course the areas that you have mentioned in terms of begging, these are the worst form of child labor, and of course anyone that is caught in those, of course they are going to face the full brunt of the law.
Yeah.
No child should be forced, or no child should be forced to beg, or no child should be exposed to these areas where they are forced by either the parents or the guardians to actually go on the street. That is just a simple no.
Right.
And we are going to come hard on those who are actually exposing our children, because when you look at the areas where our government has come in to assist, of course when you look at the 2017-2018 budget, we have got more than $900 million for education, and we also have programs like free tuition free. We have got bus fare assistance. We have got all other assistance going in to ensure that the children remain in school. And as adults, it is our responsibility. It becomes our duty to ensure that we help these children to go to school, not for these children to be exposed into the areas of child labor, into the areas of hazardous work. So it is important that we collectively work together, and we must ensure that when we are advocating in terms of the areas of child labor, we also ensure that we tell our children what the importance of education. We have seen that through reforms, through programs, government has brought in, of course, a lot of these initiatives, right? And of course, it's working well. You can see that we now see every child in school. We now see the programs they are going through. We also have technical colleges around Fiji, and of course we can see that there are children who are actually going to technical colleges to learn their skills, right? They learn their skills, their interest. So these are the programs that is put in place to ensure that we don't have the problem of child labor. We don't have issues where we can see children, working at a younger age. So with this in place, Luisa, it's only fair that we all collectively work together.
Yeah.
And of course we can see the government, the departments, the ministries, we all working together to ensure that any problem that we face in the area of child labor, we have seen that Ministry of Women, Children, Poverty Elevation have been also creating a lot of awareness on the area of child labor, also child abuse. So these are the actions program that we have in place. We also have the interagency cooperation group that we have in place, and we also have the interagency working group that is actually helping creating awareness in the villages, in the towns, cities and communities. And we are working towards ensuring that come 2025 we have a child labor free Fiji. We have the action programs. We can collectively declare that of course Fiji is child labor free, and we all have ensured that we work towards this program. And there is a lot of support given by government in terms of ensuring that we have a child labor free Fiji. Our honorable minister was in Buenos Aires, Argentina last year, and he has signed a high level declaration in Argentina, ensuring that we have programs in place to eradicate child labor. And of course we have got our target, of course, set SDG goal 8.7 on the eradication of child labor.
Right. Okay, can we talk about this scenario? So I'm a single dad. I to 3 children. My eldest is in class 8. Then I have a stroke, and then my the eldest feels he needs to go and work. So say he goes to, of course he's going to drop out of school, or he's going to be absent for a very long time, and he goes to a construction site maybe and starts working there, and then he has an injury, and then the same thing, now you have 2 people who are down. Can we just talk more about that?
Yes, I think it's important for us to understand the areas where children can work. For example, when you talk about construction site, these are dangerous work.
Right.
And of course, no child, anyone below the age of 18 is a child, so they cannot be employed in those areas.
Right. But in this situation,
in this situation, of course, if we, for example, if we come across a situation where this child has been employed, of course, we withdraw the child same time. the same, and we will also get the interagency groups in.
Right.
The Ministry of Women, Children, Poverty Alleviation, they have got programs in place, right? That is going to assist the child and the family.
Okay.
If they meet the criteria, they're going to assist the child and the family in ensuring that the child is in school, right? The situation that you have given, it does not give right for the parent to send the child to work.
I mean, you know, if the child feels like seeing that his siblings don't have access to basic...
Yeah. So in those areas, we have got programs in place. And these programs are very effective. What we can see is from 2011 till 2017 December, we have withdrawn 200 children from child labor. And in doing so, what we have also done is these families have also benefited from government's program. A lot of times they were not aware that there is a program in place that they can go in and apply and of course get assistance. So with this in place, with the awareness that we have done, we have actually assisted these families. And when you have also withdrawn these children from child labor, they are back in school, and we have noted and seen that these children are actually doing well in school. We also thank the teachers. I think they have done a great job in terms of accepting these children in school. They have a lot of times we have seen our teachers have been working extra hours to actually assist these children. There is a bridging program, because sometimes these children are away from school for about 6 months, sometimes more than a year. So for them to come back to school, it's a bit, it's a situation where they might not be able to adapt the environment same time. That's why we have seen our teachers have been able to assist these children, and they have also provided extra classes so that these children are able to cope in school, cope in class, because they will be put together with the rest of the children. So what we have noted is that with this, the teamwork that we have in place, of course we thank our teachers. They have been working very hard, in ensuring that they assist in terms of the areas of eradication of child labor, and this is very, very important. Of course, that is taking our government's program forward, and ensuring that we implement the policies on the ground, and we ensure that we give the highest protection to our children, the best possible care that we can. We have to give it to our children.
Right. Thank you, Atish. You're on Speak Your Mind. We're talking about child labor in Fiji. After all, it is the World Day Against Child Labor. We'll be back in a bit. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind. We have Atish Kumar, Director, Labor Standards. We're talking about something very interesting, child labor in Fiji. It is World Day Against Child Labor. We're observing that. We've been doing that from earlier this month around the country. So, we've been talking. There's a critical link between child labor and education, the importance of our children being in school. Can you also explain to us the link between child labor and poverty?
Yes, Lisa. I think when you look at in terms of the areas of child labor, global figures. When you look at global figures, we have around, ILO estimates around 541 million children, who are between the age of 15 to 24 are actually in child labor. I think when you look at Fiji, we are very lucky that we have a lot of programs in place by government that is actually assisting these children. And of course, there are programs on poverty alleviation. There are programs in terms of starting your own business, in terms of ensuring that you come out of poverty. And of course, there is a direct link between child labor and poverty when you look at in terms of the areas of working children. What we've also noted is that that is where the programs come in. So when we talk about the areas of child labor, we have seen with the assistance in the programs coming in, it is very easy for us to ensure that we have an educated society, because actually there is a direct assistance given by government for children to be in school. When you look at previously, there were issues of school fees, there were issues of bus fare, there were situations where children could not afford school fees, but those things are now taken care of. We have also have a lot of programs coming in to ensure that there are employment given to parents. We have the National Employment Center with the Ministry of Employment that's actually assisting, those, like in terms of those who are unemployed. So there's a lot of programs coming in place. And of course, when you look at the areas of child labor, from 2011 when we started, we had about an average of about 45 to 50 child labor cases reported. come 2018, for the first 5 months, we have not received any case of child labor. We have done more than 3,000 labor inspections from August last year till end of May this year. We have done more than 3,000 inspections, and we have not received areas of child labor. What we have also noted is that a lot of employers are coming on board and actually advocating and ensuring that everyone knows about child labor. For example, if a child goes to a particular employer during school hours, then of course he or she will not be employed, even though they are above 15 years of age. A child can only be employed after school. So when you look at the areas where child labor is prevalent, we have seen that we have combated these areas.
Right.
We have also seen that with the implementation program in place, with the interagency cooperation, we were able to contain this, the problem of child
But
labor.
can you give the link between child labor and poverty?
Yes, of course, there is a direct link. Of course, when a child is actually in child labor, definitely if the child drops out of school,
Right.
that child may not have that training, that education level where he or she will be able to get a better job.
Right.
So of course, they are then forced to do unskilled work,
Right.
right? And of course, unskilled work. So we can see there is a direct link, and with that in place, that's where the programs come in. That's
Right.
where government has been emphasizing on ensuring that children remain in school. All assistance are given, for them to be in school, right? And I think it's important for parents.
Yes.
The problem of child labor cannot be solved alone by Ministry of Employment or Ministry of Education. It needs an effort of everyone. Every Fijian must come together.
Right.
They must come on board, and they must ensure that we promise that we will not have, a society where children are in employment. We will have a society where children are in school and they are given the care, the protection, to remain in school and to further the education. That is an
Right.
important area. When you look at other countries, Lucia, when you look at, for example, some of the countries, they have some of the worst forms of child labor cases where children are actually, working at a tender age in plantations, in cocoa farms, look at areas, in Tanzania, in some African countries, there are actual children who are working at a very tender age, But when you look at the situations, all around, we can see that there are a lot of worst form child labor cases, But for us here in Fiji, it is very important, that we are able to give this assistance to our children. If we find a child labor case, for example, if you find a child labor case in Lambasa, or child labor case in Nendi or in Ba or in Singatoka, we have a program in place with the Ministry of Education, of course, with the Ministry of Women and Children, and of course with the Ministry of Employment. We have a program in place. We identify that child. We also ensure that we follow the process of withdrawing those children. And when you withdraw those children, it doesn't mean that they'll come back to employment the next week or the other week. No, it's not that. When there is a withdrawal, there is a permanent withdrawal from child labor, and we ensure that we follow the process.
Right.
So any child that is withdrawn, they follow the process of going back to school.
Okay. What's the penalty for people or for parents who
Yes.
are?
Lucia, when you look at the process, because if for an individual, the fine is up to $10,000 or 2 years imprisonment or both. When you look at for a corporation or a company, the fine is up to $50,000. So we can see that we have huge penalties to deter.
Right.
This is a deterrent that people will not employ children during school hours, or they will not employ a child who is below the age of 15 years, right? Unless they are in a family-oriented business. After school, and as we discussed, after school, children can help their parents. They can help their parents in simple work in their farm. There's not problem, That's part of child development. And of course, every parent wants their child to learn some skills. So they can learn the skills of simple farming. They can learn the skills of doing other housework to assist their parents. That is not child labor. Child labor is only when they are actually employed during school hours, when the teaching and learning process is going on. Of course, you withdraw your child and then you take them back to your farm. Of course, there is child labor, because that is infringing the rights, for the child to be in school. And of course, that is also against the constitution, because that is the right of a child to be, to have the proper education. So these are the areas that we are working towards. And of course, when you look at the enforcement part of the Ministry of Employment, of course, with the other interagency team that we have. We are conducting awareness and enforcement not only on 12th of June, but the awareness and of course enforcement. It's continued throughout. Continued throughout. We conduct daily inspections. We conduct awareness area campaigns to the community leaders. We conduct awareness campaigns in schools. We conduct workshops for teachers. We have also conducted workshops for police officers, for the FSC field officers, those who are actually going out in the cane belt areas, to actually advise them in terms of the areas of child labor and what is hazardous child labor, what they are required to do. So there's a reporting mechanism in place, by government to ensure that we have the process, and every child is given the protection and care.
Okay. You talk about awareness in schools, so I'll ask you something about that, education, in a bit. You're on Speak Your Mind. We're going to be back in a bit. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind. I'm Louisa, and with us, Mr. Atish Kumar, Director, Labor Standards. He's talking to us about child labor in Fiji. We observe World Day Against Child Labor, and it's very interesting. So just going back to it, have you ever had a case where, you've removed the child who by choice, wanted to work? Because, for some children, it's easy money. Have you ever had a case like that?
Yes, Luisa, we have come across some cases. Previously, where children would want to work even though their parents don't give the consent.
Right,
So what we have in place, Luisa, is a guideline for employers. For example, if you want a child to work who is over 15 years of age, first is you must get the parents or the guardian's consent, a written consent from parent or the guardian that I'm allowing this particular child who is 15 years of age and can be employed after school in a non-hazardous area, right? And of course, with that in place, it also comes the minimum rate of pay, how much the employer will pay under the wages regulations. There are minimum rates of pay. And of course, when the employer, for example, in any case where the child doesn't have a written consent from the parent or the guardian, then of course the employer cannot employ them,
Right.
even though the child is willing to work, because that is against the law,
Right.
that they must inform their parents or the guardian where they are working.
Okay.
So that becomes quite easy for the parent or the guardian to know, of course, this particular child is working for this employer, this supermarket, or for example, how much the child will be earning, right? Will that affect the child's school work, right? School
Right.
attendance,
Right.
right? We want to ensure that children come home early, right? And of course, complete their homeworks, the required tasks which are given, and of course they prepare for the next day, right, in school. That's
Right,
important. That's
school.
very, very important.
Right.
And of course, adults, it's our responsibility to ensure that happens.
Right.
And with that in place, we have also seen that for example, if a child is working, there are set criteria. For example, if a child in school holidays, right, who is 15 years of age in light work, can work up till 8 hours. But for after first 4 hours,
What's light work?
like for
Define
example,
light work.
when you talk about light work, it means it's not hazardous. It's
Okay.
not that heavy load.
Okay.
A simple task which a child can do, right? Simple task which a child can do, not lifting of heavy loads, or not working in a hazardous area, not handling chemicals. Right? These are, of course, handling chemicals is hazardous work. So a child can work, and of course, with that in place, the child will be required to have a mandatory 30 minutes break for every 4 hours of work. And then, of course, the child has to return to his or her parents or the guardians. But important thing is when you talk about child labor, Luisa, it's not that all children will be in employment.
With light work, the child can also be exposed to abuse,
Yes.
physical and
Right. So when we talk about light work, Luisa, when you talk about employment of children, it is important for parents and of course for employers. The Ministry of Employment, of course, our inspectors go and inspect these places, right? And of course we check and see that where the child is in employment, which area, whether the child is paid the minimum rates, whether the child is given the required break, whether the employer has a separate register in place, where they enter all the details for children. So these are the requirements and the guidelines under the law.
Okay.
It's mandatory. no employer can say that, oh, I am employed this person, but I have not kept the register. No.
And your team has,
Yes.
you've checked in
yes.
Fiji like that.
And then we conduct inspections. We conduct random unannounced inspections
Oh, okay.
to ensure that, for example, during school breaks, our inspectors go out in the field. Of course, we conduct this inspection. During school hours, we conduct the inspection. And we are saying no child should be employed. It's illegal for a child to be employed during school hours because that child has to be in school.
Yeah.
And in any case, if the child is not in school, then we, of course, we go and ask why the child is not in school. How can we assist of returning the child to be in school? That's an important area, you know. And of course, we are working with, of course, with the other stakeholders, and we thank the employees and, of course, the trade unions for coming on board.
Right.
These are the tripartite partners with the Ministry of Employment, and we have seen that awareness created has actually assisted the ministry.
Okay. Speaking of school, with OHS, you know how it's all linked with child labor. Has it been introduced into our curriculum in the education system?
Yes, thank you, Lisa. Of course, we have got the health and safety team with the Ministry of Employment. We also have got the training division of the Ministry of Employment under the Health and Safety at Workplace Act. And of course, with that in place, we have a training division. Of course, our training division actually conducted trainings. They have also conducted training for teachers. They've also conducted. We have been going around
with students. I mean, with students, so that the child, finding out, learning more about OHS. You know, it'll teach the child. Okay, I'm too young to work.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not skilled. I'm exposed to these things because some children choose to work, not understanding the risks involved.
Right. Yes, Luisa, of course, the World Day Against Child Labour, we also celebrated the World Day for Safety and Health on 28th April. And we have built up programs for school students and teachers. So we have been from in April, we have conducted workshops and trainings for school students on safety and health, and also for teachers.
Right.
Of course, for June, as a build-up program for the World Day Against Child Labour, we've also gone to school teachers and students, and we have conducted awareness in Lautoka, Lambasa, and of course here in Suva today. And what we are actually doing is we are trying to ensure that we empower them to know about safety and health, to know about child labor, you know. And of course, then of course these children will become the advocates to ensure
this
that
is high school level or primary school?
Both high school and primary school.
And what's the feedback like
course,
from children?
Yes, of course, we have received great feedbacks from them. They're able to understand what is child labor. They're able to take the message across to their peer groups to ensure that they know what is child labor. And we and with that in place, they also understand the reporting process. What happens, when you see a child in child labor? What are you going to do? So we have noted that children are now taking, these responsible actions.
Ownership.
Yes, they're taking the ownership, and of course, with that, they are also trying to ensure that they don't see a child labor case. If they do see, they exactly know the process. Because what we also see in Luisa is that there is a encouragement within children, and we also seen that they are able, because there is a lot of assistance given in terms of education. Children are able to understand the importance of education, and we have been going around telling them that, look, you have to go to school, right? It is the only way we can actually fight, the, like we can say, poverty. We can also fight in terms of the areas of child labor, right? By going to school, you will learn, you will know, and we have seen that the programs put in place by Ministry of Education, that is actually assisting the reforms put in place by Ministry of Education, is actually assisting us in terms of ensuring that we eradicate the problem of child labor.
Right. Thank you, Tish. Just a recap on that. We make sure parents, make sure our children are in school and that you're aware of what they're doing. And for you, your little one, make sure you stay in school. You're on Speak Your Mind. We're going to be back in a bit. Welcome back. You're on Speak Your Mind as we observe World Day Against Child Labor. We're talking about child labor in Fiji, and with us in studio, Mr. Atish Kumar, Director Labor Standards. Atish, we've seen a drop in the number of child labor cases in Fiji. That's very good. So if you can just tell us more about the programs, like today, what the ministry has done and the programs that have come out that you've created to combat this problem.
Yes, Lucia, I think it's important that when you talk about the areas of child labor, it's not only that we have actually created awareness, but we've also conducted enforcements.
Yes.
So when you look at of course 12th of June is of course World Day Against Child Labor. Prior to that, of course, the awareness and also the enforcement programs has been running throughout the year. For example, in preparation for the World Day Against Child Labor, we had workshops for teachers and students in Lotoka on 1st of June, and of course in Lambasa on 7th of June, and of course here in Suva on 12th today. And what we have noted and seen that when you talk about the areas of child labor, the awareness is there on the ground. And with that, we have also conducted awareness through our community leaders. We have also conducted awareness to cane farmers, and we have also conducted awareness to our community leaders on the ground. Our Tikina Council reps. We can see we have also conducted awareness for the police officers, and of course for the FSC field officers. What we are trying to do, Luisa, is we want to ensure that we flood the information to our people, so that they know that child labor is not right. Child labor is actually is affecting a child, and we should actually work towards eradicating the problem of child labor. So when you look at the areas and of course the awareness program that we have in place, we also have the enforcement, and of course with enforcement we also have the campaigns going on with of course the other stakeholders. We have seen that of course the trade unions have been conducting awareness on child labor. We have seen the Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation, they have been also conducting awareness on child labor. So we have got the stakeholder group that have been actually taken on board the areas of child labor, awareness programs. And then collectively we have been working to ensure that we combat this problem. And we are very thankful to the Director of International Labour Organization for the assistance, and of course for the programs which they have assisted the ministry, also the stakeholder partners, to ensure that we come together, and of course with one aim of eradicating child labor from our society. And of course with government's program, government assistance, Luisa, we have the political will here, where government is coming on board and ensuring that all programs are put in place for the betterment of all Fijian children. And that is very, very important.
The ILO Tripartite Plus approach, I've heard about that. Can you simplify and help me understand what that's about?
Lucia, the ILO Tripartite Plus approach is where the employers, the trade union, and together with government, they come on board. And of course, when you look at the areas of child labor, we have seen all our partners working together, not only in the areas of child labor, but all other areas. We have been working together to solve their problems. And when you look at areas of child labor, we have seen that we have got the district labor officers on the ground in Sigatoka, Nendi, Lotokamba, of course Lambasa and Sabu. They have been creating awareness in all their districts. And of course this awareness and inspections have been conducted to ensure that when we come across a problem of child labor, how best we can solve. Come across a problem where our family is not able to send, how best we can solve. This see children who actually out on the street, just looting. Actually, with the assistance of Ministry of Education, we have withdrawn. They have gone back to school, and then we have noted that a lot of situations where children might be, but they also want to go back to school. So there is a procedure in place, right?
But if I see a child on the street, I can call that
Yes.
number.
One of course there is a always of employment. And of course we will.
What's
be
your
able
number
to,
again?
It's 9906-369.
9906-369.
Yes.
Atish Kumar.
Yes, and of course we can take action and ensure that we withdraw these children. Lisa, we have it is an effort of government's program in place, and we are here to ensure that we implement it on the ground. And we have been implementing it. Of course, with our Honorable Minister for Employment, with the Permanent Secretary, the support that we have got, we are able to implement this and we are able to withdraw these children. Right? So this is an important area that the Ministry of Employment is working towards. We are creating awareness and we are ensuring that if we find a child who is in child labor, we have to withdraw the child same time. During school hours, we are encouraging members of public, please note that no child should be employed during school hours. It is very, very important for the child to be in school. That is the only way we are going to fight the problems.
To receive quality education.
Quality education. And of course, you know that government has been advocating on this for a very long time. Government has been ensuring that we provide education. Previously we had problems where people would say that there's no bus fare. They have problems of school fees, but now those problems are gone. So it is important for us as adults, as community leaders, it is important for us to come on board and ensure that we fight this problem. We take this agenda forward. We ensure that we assist our government in terms of achieving this target. We assist our community leaders in terms of achieving this target. And we have seen that we thank the employees and of course also the workers. A lot of times we have seen that the employees and workers are actually coming in and actually reporting the areas of child labor cases, and that has been happening. And we have been able to form task force group with other interagency organizations to ensure that we actually go in and of course we assist our children, we assist parents, we create awareness. We all have also like done counseling for children through Ministry of Education. If there is, of course, there is a problem of child labor, if the child is dropping out, there is a process that needs to be followed. So greater awareness is important because this is how we are going to reach out to our community, and we want to ensure that we build a better Fiji for everyone, and that it starts from us. It starts from us within, that we have to work towards this. It starts to ensure that when you talk about child labor, it's about our children. Let's ensure that we protect them.
It's a collective effort.
We give them the safe environment. And of course, with that in place, we work towards achieving, our universal goal.
Right. Well, that's it. Yeah, we've been talking about child labor in Fiji. Today, June 12th, we observe World Day Against Child Labor, and there's a lot that's happening around the country. And I'm sure you found our talk very interesting. We're going to talk again on Tuesday on Speak Your Mind. I'm Louisa. Thank you, Mr. Kumar.
Naka.
We'll talk again soon.